In this video, I'm returning to the care sector and care homes. Now, one of the leaders of the care sector in the UK, somebody who's well known by everyone who's a significant player, is Tony Stein, who's the Chief Executive of HCMS, Healthcare Management Solutions. Tony, welcome to this video. You have, as I understand it now, 80 homes under management with 3,500 staff and 3,500 residents. Tell me, if I were a resident in one of your care homes, would I be experiencing dramatic differences as a result of the COVID-19 emergency?
There would certainly be some differences. Obviously, we have had to close the homes to visitors and we can't take people out on the regular trips as you'd expect. But to be fair, the staff are working extra hard to try and make up for that. So there's a lot of activity going on. They're helping the residents to keep in touch with their loved ones using digital means. So we've seen some lovely progress in terms of our residents learning about how to use Skype and how to use FaceTime and other means, emails, to keep in touch. So yes, there are bound to be some changes. I mean, everybody's feeling that. But you know, I think to some extent there's some positives coming out of this as well. And I'm sure even after the restrictions are lifted, some of these residents will continue to talk to their relatives on FaceTime and so on. Yeah, it's lovely.
I think that's probably true. The media portrayal of the care sector is of a, in fact, I know that one national newspaper had a commentator suggesting it was a war zone. Now, obviously you've got difficulties, but how do you feel about the way the media are looking at your sector?
I always think that sensationalizing things is unhelpful. I recognize that the media often does that as a means of selling copy. The difficulty we've got, of course, is that, you know, we want to portray the reality of it in order that we don't make our staff anxious when there's no need to be. Some operators, I accept, have had some really challenging times already. With a number of their staff self-isolating, which puts pressure on the remaining staff. And also, you know, supplies of PPE or personal protective equipment have been spotty, I would say, at worst for us. Certainly, we've managed to keep our supplies going. Sometimes that's been sharing it between homes, but the Public Health England have been exceptionally good, I have to say, in helping us with that. So, yeah, I just think it's not helpful to describe care homes like that, because that's not how it is. It's a serious business. Our staff are professional. They're well trained. They're used to dealing with this. It's hard work, but it's always been hard work. So, you know, yes, it's unhelpful, and I wish that people would put a more positive spin on it, but it doesn't. Good news doesn't sell.
Well, let's talk about the practical things that care homes should be doing now to play their full role in helping the country through this period of emergency. What do you think the care home's role is beyond caring for the residents they already have?
Well, the reality of the way the country works is that there are probably 3 times more people going through a life in care homes as there are going through the NHS system. The NHS system would fail completely without social care, and it's inappropriate often to look after particularly elderly people as we do in a hospital setting, when actually what they really need is personal care and that sort of daily contact. We play an important part. I mean, there's no question about it. And I think if anything good has come out of this coronavirus epidemic, it's that I think people are now appreciating the huge part that social care plays in maintaining a proper functioning health system in the country. We should continue to do what we do best, and that's care for those people in our charge. And it worries me a little bit that some operators, not many, but some operators are taking a view that they're refusing to look after residents with COVID-19. I think if we've got residents who have an infection of whatever sort, you know, it's their home and we're used to dealing with people with infections. We've got all the right protocols, we've got the right equipment, and it's up to us to continue to care for them. If we all jointly refuse to do that, then the NHS system would literally break down overnight. So, this is a national emergency and we have our part to play in it. That's my view.
And you think that it's possible to contain COVID-19 within homes? After all, if someone has a room, that room is their home, and we are supposed to be protecting elderly people from the risk.
Well, should there be a resident with a positive test for COVID-19, then they could be barrier nursed and isolated within a care home. I think what we're seeing certainly is that there are residents who are symptomatic. Very, very, very few, if any, have been tested so far, other than when they're admitted to hospital with acute symptoms. But then we're not geared up to, nor would we ever deal with people who have acute respiratory problems. They would always be admitted to hospital. So what you're talking about is people who are symptomatic, so maybe have a cough, maybe have a temperature, it might be flu, it might be COVID-19, it might be just a cold. We would assume that for the time being, as with public health guidance, that they should be isolated, and we'd manage that process as we do with any other infections.
Now let's talk about suppliers. You've got a lot of suppliers in your supply chain. What role are they playing in keeping everything running smoothly? Food, for example, is a good thing to talk about. It's so important.
Huge. I mean, apart from the fact that for our residents, the meal times are a sort of punctuation mark in the day, and a very important part of their health is their nutrition. So delivering good quality food, good variety of food is important. Our food supplier, we generally use for most of our services a company called Breaks. Breaks have worked really well with us this time through this crisis. One of the things that they've done, which has been superb and really helpful, is they've allowed us to set up accounts, not just to order food for the home, but also for our staff. So if our staff who are working long shifts can't get out to supermarkets and hunt around for food where there have been shortages, they need to know that they can go home and feed their families. And Breaks have set up a system with us so that we can order their food, that gets delivered along with the home's food, and they can take that home with them. So they've been really helpful in that respect. I couldn't say more about that. That's superb. And obviously in other supplies, so for PPE generally, around the country is in short supply. Everybody's looking for it. We're talking about masks, gloves, wipes, that sort of thing, hand gel. Our suppliers have been really good. So we have a company called Blue Leaf that have been working with us to source a lot of that. And that's been really helpful. We've so far, touch wood, we've managed quite well to keep our homes stocked with the right products. So yeah, I think, having good relationships with your suppliers is absolutely fundamental, and they've really done us proud this time.
Well, Tony, I'll check in again with you as this emergency develops and changes the dynamic. In the meantime, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.